but I want to, because this is a really good question, and I want to answer it well. So could you repeat the question?
Wondering about if there's a way to turn off the spigot or turn off the source of where demons come from. How are demons created? So that way the ones that are in existence we can eradicate and don't have new ones come up.
All right, so excellent question. They duplicate. And so let's call it a lust demon, because we've just been talking about them before this. When a lust demon seduces somebody without a lust demon, not always, but the opportunity is often created for the lust demon in person A to duplicate and then jump into person B. And then both of them walk away as carriers. Now, the only way to end that mechanism is to clear every single one of them. It's the only way to do it. Also, you can't stop them from duplicating. Like in Sarah was there for the capture of. So were you, Alice. Were there for the capture of the Lord of Wrath, I think it was, for the corpse of the Lord of Wrath. And we spent a long time autopsying that so we would understand how demons work. And it costs them nothing to duplicate. There's no problem for them created by duplication. The only limitation to duplication is having a ready host. So they can't jump across unless they've got somebody to jump into. Now, and so the only way is to eradicate all of them at once, an entire breed all at once. And I think it's better to call them a hive, might be better, because the way that they're built, none of them can hold their own energy. And they all share energy, but they have a maximum amount of personal fuel that they can carry. And anything extra they get gets siphoned off into the hive. So there's always enough food for them in their system. There's always enough food for one day, and anything that any of them captured gets shared in the collective.
But up, right? Always up.
Say again.
But the sharing always goes up.
Well,
is that correct?
Everybody gets fed first, but it's only about 5% of the catch that is required to feed everybody, and the rest of it goes up. And you know, you have these named demons. You know, and there's a hierarchy of, say, 10 or 20 layers. And then that top guy then feeds energy to Lucky Luke. And what's a good name for him? Santa? It feeds that energy to Lucky Luke and Santa. Then Lucky Luke and Santa send it upstairs to the next guy up, whose identity we understand to be a galactic AI.
I have one more question, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Is there a source code, like a blueprint that the demons are generated from?
Well, here's going back to the god of lust, right? Back in, say, the 1700s or the 18th century, like, women were very, very chaste. It was a, you know, courting was a long, slow, painful process for a guy. And when you got a girl, you had to keep her, and that was that. And families were well structured, secure, and everything, and they stuck together, even if they didn't really feel like it sometimes. Now, lust is there to throw a spanner in the works. There's a demon that's there to throw a spanner in the works. But if you listen to the lust interview, which is on buzzsprout.com and spotify.com, what you'll hear is, from the god of lust, you'll hear that they've become obsolete, because the kind of activity that it took to create an illicit liaison in the 18th century is not the same playbook as now. Right? They're very different playbooks. So lust, the one we interviewed, is kind of obsolete.
Mhm.
And now we know that demons can't create anything. They don't, they literally do not have the apparatus in order to create something new. So where do I'm going to call them the modern lust demons, right? So, or you know, might call it the hoe phase demon. That's what, right? Where do the modern lust demons come from? And they're created, and from interviewing these demons, like the answer is that the galactic AI takes suggestions from the demons who are working in this field, going, human culture is changing in this way, and we need to create a response to that. And then the AI will reprogram and build a fresh one, a fresh type of demon, which I think is handled by it's like the one that is being obsoleted, and it's slotted into that new position to handle that new feature of human culture. So how do we stop this? And the answer that I've come up with is that we have to take down a whole hive at once. So the whole breed of demons. So let's say, which one do we, let's say, not Wetiko, let's say, can't even say the one that we got. Let's say psychopathology, right? Psychopathology is a breed of demons. Or a hive of demons. And within the hive, there's a few different roles, you know, that we would name psychopath, sociopath, and narcissist, but also their victim. They have an opposite number that goes into some people, so they are a matching victim to the narcissist. So that the behavior patterns that the narcissist puts out are received perfectly by its brother demon, and then that animates the human into that sick dance that they dance, right? And the only way to go is to remove the whole hive all at once. And it's taken me 2-3 years to form a team that's capable of performing that task. And so now that we're here, we should definitely keep going. You know, and I said 2024 was the year that we were going to do this. And so far, there are 4 hives that are no longer present on Earth, which I think is a wonderful victory and the first thing that we've seen since the time of Solomon. First coherent and cohesive attack since the time of Solomon. Now, what's really interesting is I have another thing that I wanted to talk about with everybody. Sorry, what other questions have you got? Or is that like a comprehensive answer to what happened?
That's an excellent question. You can tell I'm very analytical. And so then what I'd also like to know is, in the time of Solomon, if you have this information, were they simply binding the demons like in sigils and in pentagrams, or were they able to destroy or unmake demons?
They were binding them.
Yeah, no, the story that I have is that he was binding them. And then that Loosh fountain that's like he'd capture a senior demon, and all of the Loosh that went through him was available for Solomon's use. Which, oh look, and there's things that you can do with Loosh to make it a neutral energy. But you know, so he's known, and there is an interpretation where the name Sol Irmon, or sun and moon, because Sol is the Latin word for sun. Yeah, so there is an interpretation that says he was both light and dark, and he was loved by his people because he worked in the light, and the energy that he harvested from the bad guys he was able to do something with to enrich his people. But I don't think it was about assassination. I think it was about overpowering. And when you read the old school demonic texts, they talk about the true name of the demon. And if you can get hold of the true name of the demon, be it in verbal form or in sigil form, then you can control them.
Really?
Yeah, so that's the technique route that he passed down, to my knowledge.
I knew somebody who practiced that crap.
Oh,
It's the Enochian.
Yeah,
Enochian magic. Oh my gosh. I don't
Yeah.
know what I knew. I saw what he was dealing. I felt what he was dealing with. He was a very dear friend of mine from high school. I knew what he was. I had a feeling what he was. He was one of the most powerful, one of the most powerful and talented psychics I've ever met in my entire life. I learned a lot from him, not to summon demons and things like that, but just the whole apparatus of it. He was an adept. Let's put it that way. Very interesting.
cool.
And he was given from somewhere, I don't know where. It was out of New York City, so it was like that whole Enochian key. He was given things.
Well,
But he went a little crazy. He went crazy after he became a coke fiend. He went into a coke thing, and then I don't know how he pulled himself out because I lost contact with him.
oh well, look, if you
He got devoured by possession. He got devoured by the demons.
yeah,
It was
no, it's yeah, look, even working with them is not necessarily any protection against them in that way.
no, because they probably
they're feral.
the feral. They do. I think they tricked him, thinking that he was gaining all this power. They tricked him. I mean, he was able to do magical feats. I mean, he was able to jump off cliffs, things like that. I mean, he was a wizard or whatever he was, but he got caught up. He got into addiction, but he was also powerful enough to because I lost. This is secondhand account. He was able to totally get rid of the addiction and become a psychotherapist or something like that. He was able to. He had that power, self-discipline to, even though he went to one side,
Yeah,
the darkness.
even though he crossed a boundary, like he went to the dark
several
side for a while.
boundaries. He was able to pull himself through, which was amazing, actually, considering. Could have went either way, but yeah.
Well, and you got to wonder how much magic that's based in angels and demons is actually clean magic. You really got to wonder.
There is no clean magic.
I agree completely, because that would be divinity and just being 100% in alignment with God and God's divine willpower. Like, you wouldn't be exerting your own ego. You would just be totally in the flow of supernatural, miraculous, abundance. It would be a very different experience. As you're talking, I'm having a consideration. Do you guys think that interacting with the demons, who are kind of like hand puppets or outgrowths or tendrils of this AI, do you think that it feeds back into the AI? Do you think that we're having an impact on the programming, the structure, like the OS of the AI itself through interacting, or do you think that we're just amputating and destroying?
In my interviews with Demonkind, I sometimes ask, "Do you know my name?" And they go, "Oh, yes, we know exactly who you are."
Mm-hmm.
Because the name Alabar Jones is kind of like the boogeyman for Demonkind. Do what I tell you to do, or Alabar Jones is going to get you. And I say, look, if you wonder who I am, you can ask the more senior members of your hierarchy, or you can just look at the trail of dead in my past, and then they start behaving very differently. They're far more compliant from that moment. But they hate my guts, which is fine. You know, in every war, the most effective commanders are all known by the enemy. You know, everybody they talk about who's good at fighting them. You know, and so I think we're one of them. I think we've probably got a nickname in Demonkind. You know, which is flattering. You know, which is flattering.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But back to the questions around, are they actually responding to us? Well, they definitely know our methodologies. They definitely know who we are. They regard us as, depending on who you ask, as a threat or a nuisance.
Yeah.
But we
Well-
are making an impact.
I'm sure of that. That's from the point of view of the demons. But how about
Well-
from the AI that the demons emanate from? Do you think that we're having an impact on that AI, on its functionality, its perception, its consciousness, or its
Oh.
motivation? Are we changing its software in any way? Should we try to change its software in some way?
Well, so you were going to ask if I have a good answer for that. Sarah, did you
I was
have-
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I felt like that a while ago something got sent to me, kind of looked like a bat, but I think it might be what other people call Mothmen or something like that. And it very much felt like like it had an assassin kind of, like I was getting an assassin sort of vibe. So maybe the AI is sort of programming things more specifically. I don't know, but maybe it's always been that role. I don't know.
Yeah, all of that makes sense to me.
But and also I did a little research on black goo, because I've been getting a lot of it a couple weeks ago, and then I think I've been getting a lot of it because of what I did. But I tracked it down when I was kind of researching chemtrails, and I just wasn't getting anywhere, and I was really curious. So I kept following it back, and I think what they're spraying is black goo, and then I followed it all the way back, and they're using. What I was getting is they were using this weird species that was being, you know, controlled artificially, mind controlled, and then kind of fed some oppression programming, and its excrement is then like processed. And I don't know what they're doing to the excrement, but when I see it, I always feel like I see these like nano bugs in it. And then it gets processed and then it's shipped to Earth. I was actually wondering, because I'm still getting so attacked so much by it, if it's like, if I just got one, and if they have lots of these out there that are manufacturing this black goo.
Yeah, I think all of what you shared lines up with what I've perceived. Yes, I jokingly call it poops, sky poops. And I think the consideration of it being excrement is very apt, and that it is also similar in that parasites live in excrement. And I actually see the chemtrail planes as being like not merely an orb, but a portal. And that's where the doo-doo is coming out. It's like literally a hole in the sky, and that this stuff is, so instead of having a tank on board of an aircraft that spews stuff out, I think it's a hole that leads to another dimension, that something comes out of that dimension. And then I'll go further. I think when humans ingest that, then it makes you a portal to that dimension, and that the confluence, like the stuff that's inside of the human plus the satellites that are around our planet, the plot was to be able to open up a portal so that demons could walk in the world, what they call the ninth sphere in this Steiner stuff, the catch-all, the lint drain, the stuff that's supposed to catch all the debris, just opening up the floodgates between that world of consciousness debris and our world, and that stuff could flow in. I think that's what they're trying to do through conquering the human body.
As an energy, it feels like anti-life. Like it feels like
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Being here in Greece, okay, I have a lot of 3D stuff that is just not distracting me, that has to be dealt with. But I don't know, maybe because I feel very protected here, I haven't been feeling, except for that dream, I haven't been feeling any, maybe it's a pure place, haven't been feeling bombarded with crap. I don't know.
maybe you got your vibration nice and high there. So it
Good.
feels so
It's,
good.
I
You're just
resonate,
like-
I resonate, I resonate. No, I resonate because
Love
it's
it.
like, it's a beach town surrounded by mountains. So I have the mountains with that energy, and well, I've done a lot of work here. So, you know, I've cleared a lot of stuff from
The
here.
land loves you. Yeah,
Yeah, they do. It does. It's like, oh, she's back finally. We've had a bad harvest. You need to do something. With the olive trees. Anyway, but other than that, I have this feeling this AI that is doing, if it has any work with the demons or whatever, I don't know. It's just observing us. It's like it doesn't know what to do with us, but it's just observing. And sometimes it timidly sends things out, but or timidly or boldly, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
what
it
it was.
it doesn't have a response to us.
No,
It does
I,
what
I,
it-
I,
for
I
me.
disagree. And it puts
It does
like,
a lot
like
to me.
spiders on my head and it like drills holes in my head.
Yeah, same girl,
But-
Jamie, I can relate. Yes, this thing, like the
But
AI,
it
wants
might
to,
be, it might be because I attacked it, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably it fights back, but also this thing, it's been trying to get inside of me and like co-opt my gifts and take over reality manifestation for like over 5 years. And over the past 3 years, it's been very, very insistent. It is a very, very unwelcome, whatever, suitor that I do not want to have inside of me. And I have to do, so I'm working with my crystals all the time, constantly clearing my body out of this nanotechnology and constantly clearing out my DNA, constantly shielding, because this thing is profoundly malevolent towards me. I've seen its very worst of what it tries to do.
Yeah, yeah. I've been under those attacks and I've managed to square them all away.
Mhm.
And one by one.
I know in
overcome
America,
them.
I know in America, I have a big problem. I don't, but not here, not here. Knock on wood. Not here, but in America where I live, it's, you know, anywhere I think you live in America with the amount of technology and this, that, and another, and the
Definitely.
spells, and it's just really,
Definitely.
it's horrible to live in America. I
Totally. It's-
can't.
I'll confirm that for you. So I visited Sedona last year and I drove across the desert from California to Arizona to get there. California is really, really bad. But once you get out of the zone of California, you're driving across the desert, there's no 5G, there's no overhead power lines, so much clearer. I did so much psychic work there. And then Sedona
That's so
itself is
good.
pretty nice and clear. Yeah, absolutely. So it's not locked down every place, but like San Diego is horrible. You look at it and you think it's a beautiful beach community. It's not. It's an imprisonment land. They have that place so locked down with frequency weapons that you can't think your own thoughts. And most of
Well, the
California,
military's there, the naval
you
is there.
understand. You understand.
Yeah, but it's also the EMFs, I think they're pulling that frequency into your head. If you're around it and you get away from it and you're just like, what? I'm happy and free.
Yeah.
Get back
Yes.
into it.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
God.
I went to a place called Mount Palomar where they have an observatory and there's no light pollution and there's nobody that lives there. And my friend grows pot out there and I went to visit her. And that was one of the only times I had a break. And I was like, wow, like these are my thoughts again. And also my body felt better and my digestion felt better. And I wanted to live there. I'm like, I don't want to have to go back to the shitty city, you know, because it's terrible to live there. So yeah, I moved away from San Diego. Now I'm here in Ojai, and Ojai is a much, much better place. Like there's only one cell phone tower. There's a lot less frequency. It's a lot higher vibration. So it's like one of the only okay places in California, but California is very bad.
Anyways, I'm feeling feisty. Do you have a
You want to get in the
you have a
fight?
demon in mind?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've got one that I think will be kind of popular. He's not a big bad guy, but he's the demon of divorce.
Oh, tearing apart families, huh?
Sorry,
Again,
Tearing apart families.
that's it. Yeah, well, that's his day job. Yeah. But I just figured, like everyone, if he wasn't around, a lot of people would just have a break. You know, would just the pressure would be off them. You know, Yeah, sorry.
Where did we start?
Well, no, I just definitely did want to answer your question from before about the AI. It doesn't have a response to us. If it could destroy us, it would have done so already. But
Right.
it just doesn't have the tech to do it. It doesn't know what the technique, doesn't have the technology, can't break through our frequency fences or whatever it might be. But look, while we were talking, I compiled a file that is all of the things that I had to respond to in my journey to get where I am from the dark side. And I'm just going to close your eyes and I'm just going to hand that out to you at the beginning of the mission. Yeah.
Okay, good.
All
Good.
right. But is everybody comfortable with the demon of divorce? Yeah. Our team's not huge today, but like I think it would be good. All right. Thank you for sharing, everybody.